Hey everybody, it's Anne, and it is just about 5 o'clock, maybe a minute or so before, and I hope that tonight will be fun and you will learn something. I have been down with a bad cold all weekend. Not a fun way to spend a holiday weekend for sure. But hey, that's sometimes what happens when you have little grand cherubs that you see a lot and you get to kiss and hug all over them. So if that's the worst thing that happens to me, that is okay. Well, if you saw my Facebook Live last week, we made a card using a little hidden gem that was on page 126 of the annual catalog. You know, I just love finding these little gems and hidden treasures and pointing them out to you. So the one that I'm going to show you tonight is on page 127, and it is right here. It is the hand-penned Memories and More card pack, and I actually am using one of the hand-penned Memories and More cards and envelopes. But in the card that I'm actually going to show you tonight, I'm going to show you how to create it with just regular cardstock. So really, we're going to focus just on this card pack, which, believe it or not, is only $10. You know, if you're not into scrapbooking or making memory albums, you might have just missed it. But it is amazing. You can create so many cards. You get 50 total cards. Some are small, some are larger, and you get 4 sticker sheets. Let me show you a few that I've created, and then we'll create some together. So this card started out with this Memories and More card right here. Each one has, you know, a different side, so if you didn't like one side, you could use the other. I didn't really want to use the days like this on here, so I just found a stamp set. I love using a little note, hello, or something like that on my cards, friend, and I just used a little die cut and I covered that up. Then I took a butterfly die from our Butterfly Brilliance dies. I added some of these genial gems. These are actually part of the hand-penned petals suite, so they coordinate really well with the cards. I added just this little piece of mint macaron cardstock, and then I stamped my envelope using this stamp set, the hand-penned petals. I stamped the little stem here in garden green, and then the little blossoms in mint macaron. This was full strength, and these were off-stamped. I just love stamping or doing something to my envelope. So on this one, the enjoy is what was on the card already, and I just stamped it's your day. It went perfectly with this. I also used the Misty Moonlight, which is this color right here. I just added a little bit of white twine. Then I took a piece of the Designer Series paper and I just put it on the back of the envelope to create just a cute little note card. Now, right now, there are 9 different packs of our Designer Series paper that are on sale. So it was a perfect time to create with those. This one was stamped Always Dreaming, had the flowers. I added another butterfly and some of these little jewels right here. I also just added a small strip of basic black cardstock to just give it a little more interest, and some black gingham paper here on the envelope flat. I'll tell you a little bit more about that paper in a bit. Here's another one, a cute little Feel Better Friend card. I might stick this in a basket that I might give to a sick friend. Maybe put some chicken soup, a couple of little packets of Tylenol, maybe some of their favorite candy, which of course would be chocolate, right? Maybe a magazine. I used my punches to create these 2 different size circles, and then I just fussy cut this little flower from the Designer Series paper, added some more onto the envelope here. All right, here's the last one. I stamped hello on this card, added some of this twine. The fun part is the twine comes from the Playful Pets Trim combo pack. So, you know, you can intermingle your supplies, and that way you get more bang for your buck. And then what I did is I stamped using an image from my stamp set, colored it with Stampin' Blends to match the colors here, and then I did the same thing on my envelope. So we've got a cute little note card. Again, I used the small note card and envelope, and there's also a big size that comes there where you can use these bigger cards that come in the packs. They are double-sided, just like the smaller ones. You also get 4 different sheets of stickers. These are 2, and you get 2 of each. I'll show you the other ones in a minute. Then this card, I basically chopped it in half. It's exactly 6 inches, so if you chop it, then it ends up being 3 by 4, and you can use it as a small card, which I'm going to use to show you a card here in a second. But it's just so cool like this. Okay, anything is possible. You could definitely use this on a card, in your memory album. This one, black and white. I'm going to show you how to color that with your Stampin' Blends. But again, you could use this on a greeting card. Live life in full bloom. Be you. So you get the idea. There's all these great different cards in these packs. All right. So I want to show you. Okay. Here is a card that I'm going to use as kind of my sample. Now, if you look closely, you will see this looks very similar to the one I posted in my events page. Well, you want to know why it's a little different? Well, I made a little boo-boo. Yep, I make them just like everybody does. In my haste to use my favorite new in color, Fresh Freesia, I wasn't even paying attention that it was not the color used on this card. Actually, it was Highland Heather. It looked okay, but it wasn't the purple that coordinated. So I changed it up and I used my Highland Heather, and I think it looks better. Now, on my card, I did use the cards and envelopes that I pointed out in the catalog. These are the pool party bases and then the pale papaya envelopes. But I wanted to show you that you could create a similar card using just regular cardstock. So we're going to start out with our pool party card base. It's cut to 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4, and then we're just going to give it a good crease with the bone folder. Now, to create this piece right here, what I did, I took my Highland Heather, and then I grabbed my color and contour die, the largest one. Let me bring it in here. It's actually called Scallop Contours. The stamp set that goes with it is called Colors and Contours, and it's part of a bundle. So I grabbed this big die, and then I just ran it through using my cut and emboss machine. Then I took it and I stuck it into my Tasteful Textile. And you want to do your cutting first and then run it through the embossing folders second, because if you do your embossing first and then you cut it, you'll flatten it. On this particular embossing folder, it probably wouldn't matter, but on some of them that have more detail, it would. And also, when you run it through, you always want to run it through with the hinge first. That will help protect your embossing folders. Okay, so now we are going to take our liquid glue, our multi-purpose, and I like to use this when I do layers with embossing folders because it sticks really well. Of course, you can use any adhesive you have. Okay, so that part is down. Then remember I told you I cut that big card in half? Well, here's the piece I'm going to use, and then just like our original card, I cut a piece of 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 mint macaron cardstock that I am going to attach to the back here, just to give it a little more interest. Okay, put down that corner and then this corner. Okay, now I'm going to grab some of my dimensionals here, and I'm actually going to put about 6 of them on here because since this card has a few layers, I want to make sure that it doesn't fall apart. Of course, you can use as many or as few as you want. It's your card. Okay, so now we're going to put this on here. Now, this particular Memories and More card does not have a sentiment on it. So I thought, all right, I want to use this one right here because it's got a flower that kind of goes with this since it's yellow. But I did not want to just put that sticker on here flat because it would be white on white. So this color is mint macaron. So what I did is I just backed it, and I'm going to stick it right on here. And then I'm still going to use one of my little bumblebees, and I'm going to use my glue, and I think I'm going to put it on like this, going into the flower. Then the last thing, I took my twine, and guys, when I'm using my twine, I leave the twine or the ribbon on my roll, and I'll show you why. So when I make my bow, it allows me to just kind of play with the size of it while it's on the roll here, and then I don't waste as much. Do you ever find you hack off a piece and then you end up cutting your tails and you've wasted a huge amount? Well, we don't want to do that. So, and then I will just stick my bow probably right here, put a little dab of my glue, and stick it right on here. Just like that. And voila, the card is done. And see, it's a little different, but it uses those same Memories and More cards. Now, I want to show you another one. So, the card I chose is this one. And Carpe Diem is a Latin phrase, and it means seize the day. Well, this would be great for graduation, birthday, congratulations, but I wanted to stamp another greeting on the card. So, and I wanted it to be a birthday card. So I grabbed this stamp set, The Happiest of Birthdays, and I'm going to use this image right here. It's your day, enjoy it. Because since Carpe Diem means seize the day, well, it's your day, enjoy it, works really well, don't you think? Then I added some of these opal rounds just to create a little interest. Again, I stamped in Misty Moonlight. Remember, the card packs, as well as our designer series paper, list out all of the colors so you don't have to guess. Now, this is Blushing Bride, and I wanted to use that for my card base, but this looked a little bit bland to me. So I brought in a piece of my Misty Moonlight. Now, I cut it a little bit bigger. It's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And instead of just putting it on in a straight way, I'm going to angle this like this. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this card. And instead of using dimensionals, I'm just going to put my glue right on it, like this. And if you wanted to, you could add more ribbon, you could add more bling. So again, whether you're a brand new stamper, whether you like simple cards, whether you like over-the-top cards, these cards work. So that is card number 2. Well, I've got one more to show you. Now, the card I'm going to use is this one. Can you think of something that comes to mind with this card? Well, for me, it's Stampin' Blends. I wanted to color it. So, I knew I wanted to use Coastal Cabana. That's one of my favorite colors, and I thought, okay, that will work well with this card. So I wanted also to use some black on my card. Now, this is some black gingham paper, and you may not have known, I'm going to show you another little, what I call hidden gem in the catalog, and it's on page 171 here. It is this Pattern Party 12 by 12 designer series paper. It is a 48 sheet for each of 12 double-sided designs paper. It's a $30 value, but it's a Hostess reward item in this year's catalog. So what that means is if you place a $150 or more order yourself, or maybe you gather some friends together, you can get this pack of paper. And right here is the black gingham. You'll notice there's also lots of black and white patterns. As a matter of fact, each colored sheet has a black and white piece on the back. So, again, I started with my 8.5 by 5.5 piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock. And then I'm just going to take my black gingham piece and I'm going to put that right down here on this side. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it so my border is the same. Okay, then here is the card that I've already started to color. Now, we don't at this current time sell Coastal Cabana blends, but we do sell Pool Party. So that's what I used on these two flowers. And I started out with my dark, and I'll show you. I just colored right on these little black marks. And that's the fun of these blends. You can go back in and add color. And then after I had that dark color down, I just came back in and I colored over it with the lighter color. Now, can you see how this is when you lay down more color? It actually changes. So now this is darker than it was when I started. So I'm going to just color a couple of these, but I'm going to leave some of the shading. Now, on this one, I am going to color it with the dark one straight on it here. I'm making little teeny circles, which is kind of the easiest way to color with these. You can control it the best by doing that. Okay? All right, and we're going to just let that dry for a minute. I used my sea foam on my leaves, and I used the light sea foam. Let me just come in and show you how I did that. See how easy it is to color? Then for the center, I have two different yellows. I used my Mango Melody and my light Daffodil Delight. So I'm just going to go in the center here and just kind of color where those dark dots are. Then I'm going to go back in and go over it with my daffodil. And I'm going to add a little more over here while I'm at it. Now, I want to put some more Pool Party down here because the darker it is, the more it will look like Coastal Cabana. And then even as I've put down the dark one, I can go back over with my light if I want to soften it up just a little bit. And as it dries, you'll see that. Now, you might have also noticed that I got a little overzealous when I was coloring down here. Well, not to worry. This is a color lifter. It doesn't actually erase, but it allows you to push the color back in to where you colored originally. And we'll let that dry, and then you'll see in a minute. So I'm just going to kind of wave that. Let me just put a little bit more of a push, and then I'm going to put it up there and show you, and you can see, hopefully. Okay, so can you see here how that color is lightening up along here? And this part will actually totally dry when we're done. So another thing we can do on this one is to add some of our Wink of Stella. I love this glitter brush. It lets you add just a glimmer look to your projects. Now, I'm not going to color the entire bit of the leaf. I'm just going to kind of color it here in the middle where that is. And let's put a little on the leaves too, so they don't feel left out. Okay, and this hasn't quite dried, but it will. Now, we are going to use again some liquid glue to attach this to our black. Now you notice here how the Stampin' blends, you can see that. You always want to have something that you don't care that you'll get the color on. Now this didn't actually go through onto my scratch paper, but if we'd have kept coloring, it would have. So you always want to just do that. Okay, so let's put down this mat, and you can even see how it's really drying here. Then we're going to take some dimensionals, and again, I just use so many of these little things here. They're cheap and they add dimension, and actually I go around and I don't know if you can see, once you use the dimensionals, there's like an edge right here. I chop those up and I use those as well, so I don't have anything left on those sheets. I like to get my money's worth, and I like to tell you guys those tips as well. All right, so now let's stick this on here. Let's put it the right way. Isn't this going to be cool? Now, if you wanted to put another sticker on there, you could. Or you could stamp a greeting on a little white piece and put it on there. I'm not 100% sure how I want to use this card, so I'm going to leave it just like this. You could also color around the outside, but I like to just leave that as the black and the white. So, okay, I've got one more thing to tell you. I hope, though, that you see lots of possibilities for a $10 purchase, whether you're just beginning, whether you like hashtag simple stamping, or your cards are always over the top. Memories and More cards should be a part of your supplies. Now, I'm going to bring in one more thing to show you. If you have been stamping with me for a while, you know that I do what's known as a Bogo every year. Bogo is buy one, get one. My customers come over, they shop all my retired stuff, pick out what they want. They take that home free, and then they place an order out of any of our current catalogs. Well, even after my Bogo, I have a lot of stuff left over. So what I do is I grab a medium United States Postal Service priority mail box, and I stuff it full of stamp sets, little embellishments. I've got a jar of love and the matching dies in this one. I've got a full roll of ribbon. I've got ink pads in here with the refills, some retired colors, more stamp sets, some paper down there. I mean, guys, I stuff these boxes. This one has 2 punches, and then this is just some odds and ends of paper that goes with the colors in the box. I put in a little note, and then I tape it all up, and it's ready to go. There's two ways you can get these boxes. You can purchase one, or you can place an order on my website at annbrown.stampinup.net, and you'll get a box free. All you'll pay is the priority shipping. Tomorrow, I will have my monthly big newsletter going out to my email community. If you don't get my email newsletter, you might want to head on over to stampmaven.com, and you will see a little purple box where you can put in your name and email. I never spam. I send an email out once a week that has tips, tricks, projects, informative Stampin' Up! News, and techniques, all sorts of stuff. When you first sign up, you get some freebies just for being a member of my email community, and you will get all of the information in tomorrow's newsletter about my boxes, and I will also have a blog post about it a little bit later in the day. So if you might want to get a bunch of products, each box has $100 to $200 worth of stuff. Some of them might even have a little bit more. I don't keep many of my retired products because if I show them in classes and things, my customers can't buy them, and that's a big bummer for them. So that's why I have my mystery boxes. Well, guys, thanks so much for spending some time with me as we end our 4th of July weekend. Next week, I'll be back probably at the regular time of 6 p.m. because I'll be back at work. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them for me below here. Send me an email to ann@stampmaven.com. And I'll see you again real soon.